All right, we are live. This is Abuamerican back again every Sunday. First off, let me apologize to you, my good guest. Things were supposed to come out completely different, but man, we drove down to Bavaria, and Bavaria is about like 4 hour drive from us, man. Down wow, feedback loop here. And yeah, man, so we drove down to Bavaria and we thought we were going to get out early enough, and we didn't. And we weren't expecting so much traffic, all the way down to, we went to Neuschwanstein and everything, because I got families from around the country. And, we took them down there and everything so they wouldn't be cooped up in the house here. And, dude, it's just packed down there. And it's Fasching. It's like German carnival season. So they were cutting off roads everywhere. We were like driving in circles, trying to find our way back to the highway. Dude, it was hell, man. It was hell. But I made it.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
How you doing today, man?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Not bad. A bit mushed from the long drive yesterday and today, but I'm good. So, Tim Beckett, let's get right into it. So, you go on Twitter as A Father's Journey.
Correct.
So I'm thinking there has to be like a story, either an actual story or an idea behind this name. You care to explain?
Yeah. Well, and when I first came on Twitter, it was September of 2018, and I came in as a non red pillar named the Red Pill Dad. And I got a pretty good following off that. I probably got to about 2,000 followers. And then one day I was just thinking about it, and I'm like, it felt like all I was doing was spouting off red pill stuff, which is fine, for all the stuff that I was doing. But then I was like, I got a lot more shit to talk about. And I got a lot more stuff going on in my life. And I got a lot of guys who are struggling, in their lives, and they probably need somebody who's kind of been through all this stuff. And so that's exactly kind of how and of course I had some edging on from the Twitter community a little bit about like, hey, get out there, do your thing. It's just easier to be authentic, and, get out there and do what you need to do. And so I basically just brought down the Red Pill Dad and brought up A Father's Journey. And because I had it kind of saved in the back, I was just thinking about it, and I was just like, I'll probably bring it out one day because I know I'm going to have to probably, come out at some point. And so I did. And that was how it was. I mean, that's basically how, long story short, how it kind of evolved into this. And it was just, instead of just kind of doing relationship stuff and red pill stuff, which I do a lot of, I do a lot more about, I've added in some stuff like weight loss and getting in shape and, raising my two kids. Just a lot of things, guys who are, in their 40s, 30s and 40s are really, they're looking at that and they're like, yeah, that's a guy I can relate to. That's a guy who's going through some shit and he knows what, he's out on the other side. He's doing really well. That's kind of how it kind of evolved.
Okay. Yeah, this is a big thing. I focus more on Muslims, but like, relatability in terms of, like you said, guys who are going through stuff and they need someone they can relate to. A lot of times you have a lot of guys on Twitter and they're doing well in life, but they are not relatable to the average person, and so the average person looks at their life, they look at the way they talk about their life, and they just can't, they can't put themselves in their shoes and say, yeah, I can look at the world from your position.
Right.
Understand that.
They don't. And there's a lot of guys out there.
That's a big thing for me too.
Yeah. They just don't understand it. It's like Twitter is, we talk about this a lot. Twitter is I'm trying to remember who said it yesterday, but Twitter is like the touchdown dance. Okay. It's showing everybody the good things and not kind of focusing maybe on the bad things as much, because people just don't want to see that or whatever. They don't want to deal with it. I've had a lot of bad things happen to me. So it's like, why would I not want to share that stuff, especially for guys who are coming out of divorce or who are going through divorce or whatever, and they don't know, they don't have a first clue on dating, they don't have any idea, and they're going in and buying all these products from all these guys. And I have no issues with those guys, but it's like, I'm here to just kind of tell you and show you my journey and show you what it is. and show you the bad side of things. And so there's good side, and there's bad side. There's always going to be ups and downs, and that's kind of what my my approach has been. Essentially, it's just like, guys, there's some bad shit that goes on, and you need to really approach that and know what to do with it. So.
Yeah. This is one of my teaching methods, actually. Career-wise, I'm a teacher. I'm an English teacher. Well, it wasn't always like that, but my recent, and one thing that I learned through teaching is teaching people through mistakes. And I always say to my guys is like, I make a mistake. I can actually, finagle it and say, okay, I got this exceptional case because I have an idea what's going to happen. And usually it goes exactly the way that I know it's going to go, which is bad. But when you know the outcomes of something, you can protect yourself from it. But generally, yeah, man, guys have a very hard time. Well, we come back to relatability. They have a difficult time understanding something if you haven't been in that position. And so when you start talking about a position or a situation, and you haven't been through it, then it's really just hypothesis on your part. It's basically, I've observed these people doing it and I have a general idea. And sure, intuitively that could work, but nothing beats experience, period.
Right. That's exactly right. And it is, it's like, and guys are not going to, it's great to share that kind of stuff and share your successes. And the guys are like, well, how'd you get there? And they're like, oh, buy my course. And you'll know exactly how to get there. And it's like, I'm not saying those guys aren't doing a good thing. A lot of them are. I know a lot of them, and so I know what they're doing. But it's like, I don't have a course, and I don't want you guys to buy my course. I just want you guys to see that I've been through some shit, and I have come out to the other side, and I'm succeeding. Now, I'm still not where I want to be at. I don't think I'll ever be where I want to be at, but I want to show guys that it can be, it's possible. And a lot of these guys, the funniest thing is whenever I talk to them on Twitter, I get a lot of DMs, and it's like, people are like, I don't want to talk to anybody on my DMs. And I'm like, you know what? Screw it. My DMs are open, and I get a lot of trash in there, but I also get a lot of guys who are reaching out and saying, hey, I really appreciate this thread. I really appreciate what you did here. Is this really true? Did this happen? And guys are just like, they're relating to you. And to me, that's just like, that's why I do this. I mean, that's why I do this. Cause I see guys, just struggling. And at that point, you're just like, hey, look at what I'm doing. You don't have to do exactly what I'm doing, but I'm showing you what I did to kind of get around that. So.
Yeah, indeed. It's funny thing about courses. I never thought I was going to be a course guy, and I'm actually thinking about putting together one. And the only reason why is because I keep being asked for one. Right. Otherwise, I'm not really interested in doing it. I mean, that's why I wrote a whole book. Because it's just like I'm not really interested in the course thing. But people keep asking me, Abuamerican, when's your course coming out? I did kind of say I was going to make a vetting course in the past, but I was kind of like, yeah. And now I'm like under pressure. Now it's like I'm in the spotlight. Oh my God, I need to do the course.
Well, it's important.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're an expert on something, which you obviously are, you have a lot of expertise. It's like, why wouldn't you? That's one of the tough things I'm trying to come up with, is the fact that if I ever did want to monetize, I don't know what I would do. I don't want to be a life coach. I don't want to be that. I don't want to be a life coach. I don't want to be some guy that's like Stuart Smalley on the old Saturday Night Live stuff and just going, hey, I'm not going to be that guy. I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah. I hear you.
So it's just like my expertise, I run a small business. I have, and I've been through life. I'm just a dude, and that's the only expertise I have. And there's not much I can do to monetize that. And so, like I said, to me, that's why I haven't monetized, is because I think the only thing I could ever do is probably write a book, which I'm working on right now. And, just doing some other things, I think just having being able to have somebody they can just reach out to, for free or whatever, if they ever have any questions or whatever. I wouldn't my time's worth something, I know, but it's like, I'll give them some general advice. So.
I have experience on this. I've been doing Abuamerican for years, and I never monetized. And then when I actually became active on Twitter about a year and a half ago, just over a year, I lost control of my time, and monetization has given me has given me my time back. I just advise you personally from experience, if you're going to monetize, do it as early as possible, because eventually you're just going to be overwhelmed with the amount of people asking you questions, and you're not going to be able to differentiate between who's serious and who's not until you're like, okay, this guy's been coming to me for the past 6 months, like every other day. And he's like, following this loop-de-loop pattern of goofy that I keep telling him not to follow. And the moment you tell him, like, okay, look, $100, I'm just throwing a number out there. He's going to disappear on you. You're going to be like, this guy was never serious. He's just wants somebody to chat to, and just feel good and, validate his crazy hopes and wishes out there. Because you have those guys that are out there. So if you are going to monetize, I'd say try and do it as early as possible to spare yourself like a lot of filtration of guys who are serious and not serious. Because guys who are serious, they're going to pay right on the spot and they're going to pay quick. Right. It's my humble opinion.
And they're really going to be looking for help. Who's serious about it.
Yes.
Right. You're absolutely right.
They're going to implement it because they've spent their hard-earned cash on it. And that's a two-edged sword, because they're going to do what you say, because if it goes wrong, they're going to throw you under the bus.
Right.
They're going to get right on Twitter and be like, this dude gave me the worst advice and he charged me for it.
Yeah. So you better
he's going to follow the advice.
Right. Ironclad. And that's the whole, that's what's, that's why
I'm proud of my 100% hit rate. I've got a really good hit rate, and I'm very proud of it. I put a lot of extra effort into the guys. Anybody who's done a one-to-one with me will tell you I put a lot of extra effort into it.
Yeah.
You were talking about something that I find very interesting, which was parenting. Mm-hmm. You said you parent too. I actually, and parenting is a big thing to me. And you were saying that everyone likes to show the good side of everything. And I actually wanted to tweet the other day that Bavaria, that, parenting isn't always fun, man. I enjoy the heck out of being a parent, but it's not always fun and it's not always easy. Tell me about parenting, man. What's your...
Well, let's see. It as a single divorced man, the thing that really got me going on parenting was, and I'll tell you the thing that was successful, and most guys will tell you they don't maybe want to do this, but I have a great relationship with my ex. One of the things that when I got divorced, it was simply just a matter of mutual. We at first we maybe didn't agree with it, but afterwards it was like a mutual thing, and we thought we were going to be better off divorced than we were married, and we're proving it. I have been divorced it'll be 4 years in April, and I cannot think of a better person that's helping the kids than my ex. We have a great relationship. She's really supportive in everything I'm doing here. And the kids, we communicate, we co-parent well. We've had some ups and downs, and, we've got some other things that we're doing with the kids right now. One of my kids has epilepsy, and she's about 7 months, almost 8 months, seizure free. So she's doing well. The other child is going through, she's going through 7th grade, and 7th grade's, rough for any kid. So, and we're there and we're like meeting it together. And that was like the big thing, was having an ex that I can actually count on. She can count on me. We have a great co-parenting situation, and that has been invaluable to our girls getting, the help they need and the good, it's, if you can't have the family in the same house or whatever, at least have the family on the same page. That was the big thing for me.
Yeah. Dude, it's crazy that you say that, because I have an excellent relationship with my ex. When we broke up, when we got our divorce, it was ugly. But somewhere along the line, we just sorted it out. Now we have like an outstanding relationship. I live in a house in Germany. It's like 3 different apartments, and downstairs in the very bottom in the basement is the landlord. He lives like a hermit. In the middle is my ex-wife, and I'm on the top. My ex-wife is my neighbor. She lives downstairs.
Yeah,
she needs to use my car. If I use her car, truly are like, we're family. And this is something I was saying is like, I can't remember who I was talking to. It was like, I think it's talking to my current wife, because I have multiple wives, but I was talking to one of them. I was just saying, this woman is my family. for better or for worse, whether I like it or not, for life, because there's no circumstances that I can think of other than all of my children, may Allah protect us, dying, that would separate us, because there's now a blood bond. So even when grandchildren come into the picture, I have to deal with this woman, because when one of my kids has children, and we're both grandparents, we're both blood related, there's no escaping her. So there's no way that I should have a bad relationship with her, because we're family now, whether we like it or not. And I have an excellent relationship with her. Well, I don't spend as much time with her as I used to, because she's remarried and we're Muslims, and so it's like, we have a complete separation of the sexes in general. But before she was married, we spent a lot of time. We would try this, she stuff like this. But now we don't do it so much because she has a husband now, and just out of basic Islamic respect, you keep your distance from people's women. You don't,
absolutely
stay away from other guys' women. That's
you don't.
Awesome. So that's like really awesome that you say that. I can respect that, man. That's
well, and mine only lives about a mile down the road from me, so it's like if she ever needs anything, she needs to come to my house. She's got access. I have nothing here, and she has enough respect for me that she'll say, "Hey, you is there a date there, or is there can I come over?" And I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely." She didn't used to do that, but and we can go and interchange and go to our houses if the kids need something. It's like they have the freedom to do that, and it's just there's just something about it. Those kids, your kids, and I know you've seen it. My kids the same way. You see that when they are in a healthy relationship and the parents respect each other, you see how much better they are when, when you do have crisis or whatever hit. You see that they are, I've seen kids who are in marriages who, they just pretend. And my relationship with my ex is better than some marriages out there. And it's like,
that's bad. Yeah.
I think I know what I'm doing.
Thing.
Yeah.
I think
we know what we're doing. It's like, I think we're doing the right thing. It's like, they'll judge you and say, "Oh, well, you're divorced, so you obviously have issues." And I'm like, my shit doesn't stink. I do just fine. I'm taking care of my kids. I'm taking care of what I need to do. My ex understands the same thing. And we get challenges from outside, whether it be friends or certain family members who come out and just challenge us. And it's just like, hey, this is our kid. These are our kids. We're raising them the way we want to raise them. And that's it. You're going to have to deal with it, unfortunately.
I think a lot of people fail to also understand is that it doesn't serve the child. Because, obviously, you as the father love your child, and her as the mother loves the child. Same thing with the situation with me and my ex. It doesn't serve the children whatsoever for the parents to be going at each other or to watch another parent suffer. My children primarily live with my ex. If my ex is having like some sort of car problem, recently she had a car problem, bunch of car problems, and I was helping her out, let her drive my car, whatever else, when I'm not working because I was on vacation. It doesn't serve my children and it doesn't benefit them for me to just let her suffer like, screw her. That's what she gets for being my ex. How does that benefit my children? So, I let her use my car, even just based off of that mentality alone. How does it benefit my children? If she's the one who needs to go shopping and she's late, whatever, because she's walking a half mile down the street to go shopping, lugging shopping bag. It's not about white knighting or whatever else, or hoping getting back into her pants. It's nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with like the benefit of my children, and making sure that their environment is a solid and consistent one. That, let's call it home consistent consistency as possible. Consistency. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, you're right.
A lot of
absolutely.
people,
you're absolutely right.
They get divorced, they get angry. And it's mad.
Yeah, it is. And so it's funny you mention that. It's like they it's like I get a lot of
you're there.
Yeah, I get a lot of flack on Twitter about oh man, you're taking care of your ex. Man, be a man, don't take care, don't do that shit. You should, it's like the whole society wants you to fight with your ex. It's like if you're not fighting with your ex, it's like, well, there's something wrong. Maybe you still like her. And you're like, no, I don't like her. I'd rather chew broken glass, but I'm just gonna do what I do and be the best I can be, because I know my kids are watching. That's it. My kids are watching me, so I have to be respectful of that particular fact. Because, like you said, she's going to be their mom for the rest of her life, rest of their lives, and the smoother I can make this shit, the better. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it just benefits, because let's say, speaking hypothetically here for the viewers, say you get a divorce with your ex, the kid has a more of a proclivity towards you or the other parent. What's that gonna do for the grandchild later on? You're literally driving a wedge between blood. How you view it, I don't see how people see this as like a good idea under any stretch of imagination. I don't know, maybe we're crazy, dude, but I don't want my kids to go around in the world being dysfunctional and thinking that dysfunctional behavior is normal. And I don't think it's normal that you have to hate people that you broke up with. You don't have to hate them. You don't have to talk to them every day, but you don't have to hate them and like be an enemy and try and go out of your way to make things difficult for them either. I find that dysfunctional.
I do too. And I think that these guys that is a source, that source of aggravation or that source of frustration with their ex comes from something in the past that they've done, whether they've cheated on them or whether they've racked up debt or whatever. And so you're looking at that, and that's going to generate a lot of ill will that people can't get rid of. It's like grudges. I wrote on my blog about grudges, and that was something I wrote about a few weeks ago. It's like grudges can absolutely petrify relationships, because it's like everything stops because that person can't let go. I've talked to family member. I haven't talked to family member, my brother, and God, it's been 12 years. I've not spoken a word to him. And it's like these grudges that these people have, especially in marriages, because, and it doesn't help that the family law system is busted. So guys are getting crapped on. And so it's like all of that just mixed in just turns into this soup that just doesn't allow any kind of healthy move forward until one person makes that.
Grudges are kind of counterintuitive. I'll tell you a quick story just on the topic of grudges. I'd seen this guy. I hadn't seen him like maybe, I can't remember. Man, it was forever, dude. It had to have been like a decade. And he's like, man, I remember back in the day, we were working on like Ramstein or something. So it was longer than a decade. He's like, I remember you worked back on the base and you did something. I was like, dude, you still mad? I said, man, I had to remember who you were and where I seen you from. I was like, I didn't know whether I liked you or not. I just like, yo, you that dude from way back. I said, you still mad? So he's walking around just, and I'm like, huh? I'm like, who's been harmed here? You harming yourself. But they say it's like anger, it's like drinking poison, it's drinking your own poison. It's like, you gotta let that stuff go sometime, people just gotta learn to let the anger go.
Can you imagine though, like after a decade, that guy just comes up and it was something just completely, you don't even remember. You could have cut in front of somebody at line somewhere and they just be like, man, I give 10
euros for his anger, It's like, dude, go buy some, some cigarettes or something, bring it down a notch. So you got a good memory of me. But I don't know what it takes for people to like do that stuff. Okay, if you get cheated on, that's a different story. I can understand some anger there, some residual anger, but yeah. No, so tell me about your weight loss, man. I seen you go to your lifting and everything. You're hitting some like personal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have been I had been fat all my life. I had been fat all my life. I had probably oscillated between 270 and 310 pounds all my life. I'm 6'4".
Wow.
So I carry it well, but it still was just like, and I come from a family that's relatively overweight, and they've like I said, my eating habits weren't very good. So about the time that I started the Red Pill Dad, I started to really get serious about my weight loss. And one of the things I had to do was I had to hire a food coach, which happened last year in June. I ended up doing that, but I probably got about 20 pounds off, and then I kind of hit like a little bit of a plateau. And so I started at 308. I was at 308 in April of 2018. Started to work through it, and I got down to about 288, and I was still kind of struggling. So then I hit my food coach up, and I started doing intermittent fasting, and I started just ramping up my fasts, and I ended up dropping another 42 pounds it was something along those lines, right in about a month and a half. Just bam, just completely went away. Well, then I started ramping up my workouts. And that was huge. So when all was said and done, I was at 238 after I'd been 308. So it was a little over a year since I started that weight loss journey. I was just sick. I was just sick and tired of being fat. I wasn't eating right. I knew it was something I wasn't doing, and I wanted to get in shape because my kids were watching me. Once again, my kids are a huge motivation for that. I want them to see their dad's healthy and has a healthy relationship with food. Because there's a lot of kids out there that don't have that from their parents. And so 70 pounds later, I've kept it off. And I'm actually getting ready to, through FOE, I'm a Fraternity of Excellence member through Hunter Drew's thing. That's fantastic, man. That looks great. I see that's where I'm at. I've got like this little ring of just a little bit more right around my midsection. And once I get that done, it's all the way. But like I said, it was a really tough. It was tough because I didn't know what I was doing. I had some help, but my kids saw that weight loss come off, and everybody's just looking. So I've maintained it. I'm sitting right now at about 238 to 240, and getting ready to go into. I'm at about 20. Well, actually, I'm down to about 19% body fat. So I'm trying to get down to 15%.
Oh, wow.
And once I get that done, that's where I'm going to stay. And I'm not looking to, compete or anything like that. I'm just looking to, I think my only goal is to look good naked. I mean, who doesn't want that? So that's what I'm doing.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, man. I've always been, I guess, just genetically, I guess Black Americans, we've been kind of blessed through the curse of put it on, and when I took it off, it comes right off, so I tend to pendle back and forth because I like food,
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with liking food. Like I said, I like food too, and it's just I was eating it wrong, and what was I supposed to eat? I wasn't eating at the right time. I wasn't eating the right stuff at the right time. I wasn't getting any sleep, which is hugely important. So, I mean, I was averaging about 5.5, 6 hours of sleep a night. Now I'm up to about 8 to 9 hours, depending. And that alone if there's one thing that I could recommend to anybody, even, your viewers here today, there's only one thing I can recommend to anybody, freaking get a good night's sleep. That right there will help you. That's 50% of the battle right there, is getting a good night's sleep, and then get active. Those are the two, major things that you can start doing right now. Without even changing your diet, just getting better sleep and getting yourself active.
That's something I struggle with, actually. I've noticed, I'm 47. I don't even know how old are you?
I'm 43. I'll be 44 in April.
Mm-hmm. I notice the older I get, the more difficult it is for me to sleep. I don't know why that is. I actually take ZMA, zinc, magnesium, aspartic acid, and it actually helps me go to sleep because for some odd reason I can't find melatonin anymore. You can't, no matter where you go in the world, and no matter where you look online, you can't find it anymore. One day it was the thing, and I used to order a lot of it, and it worked very well for me. And then the next thing, it's just gone. But ZMA has a sort of drowsy effect on me, like melatonin did. But getting a good solid night's sleep, that's just difficult for me. I just find like the pillows aren't right, the bed isn't right. I had to order bought a new bed, had to order a new mattress because the mattress wasn't right. Dude, I'm just struggling with that. That's one thing that I struggle with, it's just really, a good night's sleep.
It is. And I had to break down and I had to be serious about it because it was difficult. I was like, what do I need to do? I need to get a good night's sleep. What do I need to do? Well, you need to get a sleep test because you have some issues with your snoring. I have some snoring issues, and I got to get that taken care of. And then of course I had to get a new mattress. I'm like, I'm not going to get a ridiculously high price mattress. I'm going to get something that I know I could sleep on, that I know is going to be good. And I just went ahead and did that. And it's like taking these little steps, and there's some expensive steps. There are some expensive steps. It's like a lot of these guys don't invest in themselves. So they don't want to spend that kind of money. They would spend money on anything else except like their own personal health. And it's like, that's what I had to do. I had to actually reprogram how I was spending my money. And if I was going to do that, that was going to be, my sleep was important to me. So I had to knock that out. And so far, so good. Knock on wood. That's what I've been doing. So
interesting. This is the beauty of socialism. Because this is what I was looking for a pen to write this down about a sleep test. Because everyone has national insurance, whether you work or not. I work. I have a decent paying job, but through national insurance, basically I can go get the sleep test done. And if they find that I have a sleeping disorder, they'll actually, my insurance company will pay for the sleep, like some crazy mattress. Like, you know, I work in an industrial environment, and sometimes I have to wear safety shoes. And these safety shoes, they can be quite heavy, you know, steel cap shoes and whatnot. Yeah, I went to the doctor's like, you know, knee problems, whatever else. Man, they'll get you shoes that cost like $1,800, you know, just so you can walk right. Right. Well, it's total sham. I mean, it's a money making scheme, but it's like you're paying it out of your pay anyway. So it's like, might as well take advantage of it, you know. So I'm going to check that out, man. I'm going to see if I can get that done here.
It's important because what they, you know, and it was funny. Okay. I have a little story, and I'm going to tattle on myself because I don't know if you talked to Hunter Drew and the FOE guys, but we recently had a retreat down in FOE, and we went down to Pensacola, Florida, and had about 8,000 inches of rain and nearly got flooded out down there. Well, anyway, the first night that Hunter was in the room, I slept like a baby, and I didn't snore at all. Well, then the second night comes out, and I didn't get enough water or something. I don't know what. So anyway, I wake up the next morning, and Hunter's cowering in the corner looking at me like he's a terrified child. and two other guys who are in the room looking at me, just shaking their head like I was in some kind of an insane asylum. And I said, "Is everything okay?" He goes, "No, man. What was that? What is wrong with you? You need to get that checked out." I go, "What?" And they go, "Oh," I said, "Oh, my snoring?" They go, "Yeah." I go, "Man, I know. I'm sorry. I'm working on it." He goes, "You need to work harder and faster." So I was just like, I terrified everybody. And so I have to go and get like a sleep test, and they do it. I mean, it's great. They will. You're right. They'll pay. Insurance will pay for a lot of that kind of stuff. I work in industrial too. I own a trucking company. I'm part owner of a trucking company. And so we have a 50,000 square foot warehouse. So I'm always wearing some type of steel toed apparatus or whatever to go through that, and they're heavy shoes. And it's like, anything, what I think what insurance companies are starting to realize is the fact that keeping you healthy and doing healthy things is more expensive than trying to keep you alive when you're dying.
That's the German system.
Right. So it's like, that's just kind of how it's set up. And so but no, I mean, like I said, that's a huge concern for me because I want to it's like, I don't have apnea or anything like that. I've never been diagnosed with that kind of stuff, but I always have to keep, it's like low testosterone or something like that. I had my testosterone tested, which every guy should have done because it's a relatively simple thing. And a lot of these guys don't believe in self-care. They don't believe in kind of, taking care of themselves, putting some money towards getting themselves right. And that's one thing that's in my weight loss journey. That was the one thing I had to accept was the fact that, hey, if you're not here, then these people aren't getting what they need to be getting. You can't pour from an empty cup. That's what I constantly say. So I have to do that.
Yeah. TRT, man. I'm on TRT personally. I mean, I was getting your testosterone check. The older you get is like, man, that is a must. I get my check. I get a blood test done every 4 months. And I just go down here. My general practitioner, he actually studied sports medicine. And he put me on TRT, even though I was within the normal range. I was in the normal range, but at the lower spectrum of the normal range. Yeah. And he was like, okay, fine. He said, that's close enough to where it's like, we can put you on it. He gave me the gel. And I was like, hey, look, man, I got kids and everything. I start sweating. They rub it off. I don't want the gel. And he's like, yeah, well, I can't give you injections. I just order it myself. Now I do it myself. I followed up with the company and a company owner that I know, they actually get you prescriptions and everything you need. And they took me through the whole program, what to inject when. Dudes really need to get their testosterone levels checked the older they get. I mean, I'm not an expert, but I would say once you start hitting like 37, 38-ish, you really need to start watching that, I mean, and it's a night. You're right. That's a lot of what the guys say. It is. And that's what a lot of these guys are going through. I mean, there's a lot of guys who cannot figure out what's wrong with them. And you can guarantee it's some kind of low T situation. Because look, I mean, as a person who's on low T or who didn't have low T, but on the person who's on TRT, do you feel like you're better than you were? I mean, obviously, I would say that I've heard, just amazing things. I feel like Superman. One of the biggest things that a lot of people they don't consider or even think about with TRT is cognitive increase. You don't notice that cognitively you start getting foggy until you go on TRT. And then the fog clears and you're like, dude, I think it was, what's his name? Rich Cooper was talking about
Yep.
this recently,
Mhm.
you know, and he was talking about just like how the brain fog leaves, man. And that is like just night and day. I wrote my book. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't start that before I got on TRT. I got on TRT and it's like, bam. I was in a cafe like the first week I went on it or something like that, man. And I wrote like something like 3,000 something words in a cafe. Dude, it was crazy. They were bringing me free coffee. I was just in there like just going nuts, man.
Yeah.
And like something wrong with me. So, you know, I've got a lot more done ever since I've been on it. And, you know, and then it helps out, of course, in the gym and whatnot, you know, in other areas. But dude, it's amazing, man. I mean, if you're even remotely like heading towards like the lower zones, jump on it. You'll thank me. You'll owe me.
Absolutely.
Nice. So 6'4", man, you're a big dude. I mean, I'm 6'3", and I can't imagine that too. And what did you say? Two what? Two?
I'm 238. Yeah.
Nice.
So
naturally you should be able to lift heavy lifting just based off of your size alone, just off basic structure.
Yeah, and I never really focused on, you know, that was my whole problem. I was never really focused on, I was just focused on maybe leaning out, and that wasn't exactly what I needed to do, especially when everybody just keeps saying, why the hell aren't you lifting heavy? You need to lift heavy. So I've begun to really start lifting heavy. And like my favorite lift by far is the incline bench. And I hit a PR with that last weekend of 185. And like I said, it's not as high as I'd like it to be, but for an incline bench, it's a pretty good start for me. So and didn't need a spot or anything. So it was very nice. But now this next week, I'm actually going to be traveling. I'll be in Arizona on Friday. So I'll be doing my workouts on Monday and Tuesday, but I'm going to have to kind of adjust my workout schedule and whatnot. But, you know, like I said, to me, it's like I just didn't know. And a lot of these guys don't know. And they have to educate themselves on how to do things. And a lot of these guys, especially on our side of Twitter, are really helpful with that kind of thing. Cause it's just like, I tell you what, I've never met anybody on Twitter who just didn't have something valuable to give me, some good advice and something that a lot of guys need. And this lifting, I did a lot of things through AJ Cortez and several other people, you know, it's like, and they, you know, AJ Cortez has a great thing about tall guy lifting strategies, and it completely got me to where I needed to go, just because it is different for tall guys. It is a little bit different. So we when the muscle starts to show, it looks really good on tall guys, but till it shows, because our muscles are so long and everything, man, especially on my legs, you know, I struggle with that. My legs, no matter what I do, I'm like squatting crazy weights. My legs just look like these little bean poles, and I just can't. But you're still squatting the crazy weights. I'm
still squatting the crazy weights.
Yeah, that's what's
it doesn't match.
It doesn't match. It doesn't show up. But yeah, it's the same way. Yeah, they're so long. The muscles are so long. Because they have they have to cover a taller skeleton, obviously. So it doesn't develop as much, but we're built a little differently. But yeah, it's just hilarious because you just walk in and it's like people don't believe you're as tall as you are, and it's like, you know, you look like you're about 5'11" or 5'10". I'm like, no, I'm 6'4", and so they see me, and it's just like, hey, how you doing? I'm like, you know, it is what it is. But no, you know, I just have to duck down a little bit more sometimes and not hit shit.
So I also noticed that you sort of got into like game theory and whatnot, and you've been having some success with this.
Very much so.
Okay, very much so. Okay, please.
Yeah, I will tell you guys, and I will tell your viewers, it's very important. And I have a lot of battles with different factions on Twitter about game and how important it is, and I think game is extremely important. One of the people, I have several mentors that really got me going in game, and one of them is Alan Roger Curry. And if you guys are looking for a fantastic game book, it is called Mode 1. And Alan Roger Curry, I like to call him he's not necessarily the godfather of game, but he's pretty close to that. I've never met him before, but I know of him. I've talked to him on Twitter a lot, and he's a really, really sharp guy. And he's got several books. But essentially, that was one of my big motivations was him. And then, of course, Ryan Stone was another huge one. I love Ryan, and he's a great dude. And I wanted to give a shout out to him as well because he, he's so damn intelligent and he's got so many things to say about game and dating and whatnot and pickup. And it's just important. But, I did what every other guy probably would do. I mean, I would just kind of stumble through it. And I went when I was divorced in 2016, the first night I was divorced, I was 40 years. It was later in the month. I was 40 years old. I was alone in a bar and I was hitting on a waitress or a bartender. And I gave her a $300 tip, hoping she'd go home with me.
Wow.
She didn't go home with me, but she got a real nice new couch. So it was like, I need to work on something here. I had a lot of shortcomings with women. I never was good with women. And so if there was a study case on what not to do with women, and I talk about this ad nauseum on my website and through my Twitter accounts and everything, it was what I did. I was just absolutely hideous with women. So what I ended up doing was I went to I read Mode 1 and got a chance to really try out some stuff with Alan Roger Curry, and essentially his is just a very direct approach to women. You wouldn't want to go up to him and go, "Nice shoes, want to fuck." You wouldn't do that. But what you would end up saying was you would say, you would just be more direct and not worry about the consequences, which is a similar approach to a lot of different gamers. But definitely Ryan Stone, definitely Alan Roger Curry. Of course, Rolo's in there too, just getting me getting me onto the area, knowing what I could do to spin plates. So it has manifested itself into a more successful dating life. When I was, I lost my virginity at 27. So I was terrible with women. When I was in college, I never went out. I never really talked to women. I'd kissed 3 girls before the age of, 25 or so. So it was just, I was just terrible with them. And then I got married, and 10 years of just marriage didn't help any of that. And so when I decided to divorce my wife, I had to, we all have our challenges in life, our one challenge in life that we want to get over, right? We are white whale, as you would, and being good with women was my white whale. It was so difficult for me to even interact with women for years. And it wasn't any other reason, but just I had anxiety. I had a lot of mental crap that I had to get around. And that was it was just it was a very difficult process. It took a long time, but I've gotten so much better at it to the point where now it's like, we always have those phases where we go through where you just want to sleep with everything. You want to get your notch count up or whatever, which is fine. I have, a lot of accounts will go one way or the other. They'll be like, get your notch count up, have sex with lots of women, or get into a long-term relationship. I said, I don't care. I don't really care which one you do. Do both though. Because I think that one leads to the other. I think if you're good at game and you date a lot of women, you're going to find a better match for what you're looking for. So, and that has been I've been like espousing the benefits of game, just because there's a lot of people that disagree with me. There's a lot of religious types, Christianity and Muslim, if you want to talk about it, that just don't agree with that. They don't agree with, and I'm like, this is not necessarily, you call it game, call it what you want. It's still game, and it's still social skill. It's still being good with people and women in general. So,
I mean, I'm a proponent of game. I think guys, Muslims, non-Muslims, I think everybody needs to learn game. Of course, being a Muslim, I have a different perspective, but not entirely. I mean, I'm not a monogamous guy. I'm a polygynous guy. I'm allowed to have Islamically up to 4 wives, and if I can afford it, I'm going to do it. And that's part of the reason why I'm like changing my money game. One of my white whales was just like freelance money making. I was always good at getting good jobs that paid good money, but like just actually the idea of going out and just making money on the side or doing whatever else, never really occurred to me. And I just realized, like, now 47, I could do almost anything. I'm like the jack of all trades, probably partial master of none. But I mean, from fixing cell phones, you can bring me a shattered cell phone. I can put that thing back together from scratch for you. You know,
Yeah.
I could do the same thing to your car.
Yeah.
I had a university exam writing service where I was like writing papers for people,
Yeah.
you know, who want to do their own work. I must have a degree in like 4 different subjects by now. I'm not even joking. It's just like, you know, the stuff I had to research.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm like, dude, why haven't I been making my own money?
Right.
You know, for so long when I could like do all this stuff. I built my own kitchen, dude.
Yeah.
You
Isn't
should
that
see
awesome?
the pictures on Instagram.
Yeah.
My kitchen, I came in, it was just bare, like some giant rat came and chewed holes in the walls. And I was like, you know, there's no way I'm puttying all that stuff. So I took pallets from my job, and they, you know, because they throw these one-way pallets away. They don't have like Euro pallets they pay money for, but one-way pallets they throw away. I brought all those things home, tore them apart, and I made like a pallet wall. Looks amazing, dude. Built it from scratch on YouTube.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know why you do that.
Well, it doesn't that feel good? Like, doesn't it feel like,
really
you know,
good.
it's like you've got these. Like, I wouldn't have known any of this shit if I had done game. Like, I didn't know game existed. I didn't know anything about it. So then all of a sudden I'm like, is there some way I can fix my problem? And it's like, absolutely. And then you're like, and then when you finally realize it and you're doing all this, you're like, all right, I got that done. Now what's next? What can I do next? What else can I do? I can do this, this, and this. I know all this crap.
I lost my point in the rant. The point was, I agree with you, and I didn't disagree, of course, because Islamically, of course, we can't go around just hit it and quit it anything we want. We have to get married as Muslims, but I think a guy should marry more than one woman. I find it odd when a man tells me that he wants to be monogamous. When a guy tells me he wants to be monogamous, I'm like, okay, fine, fair enough. That's what you want to do. That's what you can do. I just find it odd because it's something I never did in my life. And so for me, game, it helps stabilize relationships, and it helps you get more relationships.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so, you know, as I tell Muslim guys, hey, look, learn game if you want multiple wives. Learn game if you want to keep your current monogamous wife. But no matter what you need to do, it's going to help you. It's not something that's bad. It's always going to help you. But guys act like it's this evil thing, you know. Oh my God, he learned game. He gamed his wife. Yeah, well, she's happy. What the hell do you care? You know.
Right. Well, and you don't. It's funny. Women who are, and I always like to say this, and I think Ryan Stone said this once, but women who are properly, and I have to cuss here, but women who are properly fucked don't become feminists.
It's true,
and
it's a fact.
It is, and so it's like you know, in the Islam, it goes. It's almost like it goes like in Christianity, it goes crescendos, and then in Islam it decrescendos, because either way, if you want multiple wives, you've got to have that social skill to be able to balance all those personalities. And to, you know, they're all going to like you for that. You know, they're all going, you know, how are you going to do that? Well, I have this, and this, and I have many interests, and I know how to deal with this kind of thing. Same thing. It's the exact same thing. It's just in our society here, it's like, okay, we need to be good with women. And either way, you're going to reap the benefits of that, regardless if it's while you're, you know, single and going out and having fun, or you're married and you're wanting more wives. There's nothing, absolutely, the general principle throughout all that, the rod runs through it and it runs straight, and it's the same exact thing. And guys are just, I don't know, they just don't want to accept the fact that they can put themselves first when it comes to situations and do that kind of thing.
Well, you know, we have a different problem in Islam. I mean, generally, guys, the reality is we put ourselves first in general in Islam. I mean, we're generally, you know, in the lead no matter what. Mm-hmm. But the problem is that guys in Islam, they make, you know, they apotheosize. Can you say it like that? They make apotheosis of the women. You know, they act like they're these angelic beings that like don't have sexual desires and they don't have wants, you know, physical or otherwise. And like you're some barbarian who's, you know, drooling and sweating over her when you finally get her in the bed. And it's like, no, dude, these are women. It's like, you know, yes, they're Muslim women, but they are still women, you know. And then to top it off, it's like most of these guys I'm dealing with are Western men dealing with Western raised Muslim women. Mm-hmm. So the dominant society and culture is there. It's in them. Yes, they have limitations in their behaviors because they're Muslims, but at the end of the day, you know, she still wants to be that guy,
right?
You know.
Well, biology trumps it all. Biology trumps everything. No matter what you believe, facts are always going to be over feelings. And so, one of the things that women are so that and it's interesting you mention that, because that's one thing I see a lot of is women are so confused as to why men are not more sexual towards them. And that is one of the things that Alan Roger Curry teaches. It's like, do you want men want to have sex, right? Yeah. Well, women want to have sex too. Really? Yeah. I know it blows your mind, but it really is true. And not only that, they get a lot out of it when you take the lead in the bedroom. And guys are just terrified about that. And it's like,
I don't understand it.
I don't either.
I caught a lot of flack for saying this. Actually, Muslim Twitter, they have a love-hate affair with me. They either love me or they completely hate me. There's literally no in between. There's no on the fence about me on Muslim Twitter.
Sounds like me.
It's like either war or peace.
Right. I can't.
There's no. But I mean, I said this to Muslim Twitter, and I said, like, women have a specific itch that men are specifically designed to scratch.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, they don't want to hear it.
They don't want to hear it. And it's just like, once again, it's that. And I don't think Islam is getting it as much as obviously the West and Christianity is that feminization and that I know they're trying to. I do not think that will happen with Islam.
I don't either.
I just don't think. I think it's too it's too ingrained and it's too strong, and the culture is not going to allow that kind of permeation. Whereas the West, we have a little bit more of an issue, and so that's what we're trying to fight against right now. Like I said, feminism doesn't like me, and I don't like feminism, and that's just fine with me. I don't care. So it's like that's kind of where I'm the same way. Like my Twitter account is essentially the trads don't like me and the pickup guys don't like me because I do profess pickup guys like that, but I also say I'm also a proponent of, I'm not necessarily a proponent of marriage without it taking anything. I want marriage to happen. You can do marriage. I would get married again. They ask me all the time, would you get married again? Absolutely. But it had to be on my terms. Pickup guys don't like that. They don't like that. And then the trad guys don't like the fact that I espouse game. The religious rights, not real happy with me because I do that. And I'm talking about, how everybody, all of it, just like in Islam, all of it, it holds the woman to a higher standard that she doesn't necessarily need to be held to. And it's like, or want to be held to. I don't think women
don't want to.
That. Yeah.
That's it right there. They don't even want it. It's like, dude, slow down, bring it down a notch. Yeah. It's funny you said it about trad and pickup. That's why I changed my name on Twitter. Because I'm like sort of in the same place. I'm like right in the middle. So I said I'm the trad Chad.
Yeah, I did. It's funny, and you mentioned that. It's hilarious because I did. I wrote a blog post called Trad or Chad, and I wasn't either. And it's hilarious because Rollo would retweet me and say, I said trads don't like me because of this, Chads don't like me because of this, but I have to kind of tell it as it is because it's not as black and white as they want it to be, and it never will be.
Excuse me.
You're all right.
Yeah, but that's I did that actually. I noticed I was like, man, I'm catching. I said, if I read this, if I took it personal, I said some of these tweets would be like, I'm almost thinking they're aimed at me from both sides of the fence.
Yeah.
And so I was like, you know what? Let me just everybody and put trad chat on here. Let's see who comes at me. Nobody came at me, so I was like, oh, okay, I guess it wasn't for me. All right.
It's great. I love not being able to fit. I love not being able to be put into a box. You can't put me into a box, and you can't put you into a box, and you can't do any of that because we're different. It's like every time you try to tell us that we're trad or we're blue pill, no. Or every time you tell us that we're purple pill or red pill, I said I'm none of that shit. I said I'm right here. And I'm doing all this. I do believe in what the red pill offers. I do believe in a lot of the things that, that's the number one thing. But the bottom line is the man lives the life he wants on his own terms. That is essentially what my whole thing is about. I didn't used to live my life on my own terms, and that has manifested itself into some relationships with people, with family members, especially where I struggle they don't see the change for the better, or they refuse to see the change for the better. And so it's like, that's part of my journey. My journey is a change for the better, and a change to basically say, I'm living my life the way I wish to live it. And whether that be in the eyes of God or Allah or whoever, I have that is my, that's my That's my business. I have one judge and nobody else. That's it. I have one judge. And that is something that guys are very terrified about. They don't want that responsibility. They want to put that down. They don't want to live their own lives the way they want to, because they want that buffer. They want that comfort.
No, you can't do it, man. I tried to say that. I kind of took offense to like Twitter a while back. It was maybe like 4 or 5 months ago, and I got kind of upset. What you're talking about? It's like, people trying to put you in a particular box, and if you don't fit into a box, it's like they want to try and force you into one, and it just kind of made me irritated. And I started tweeting about this. It's like, it's almost, how can you say it? It's almost like a financial tactic of Twitter to get you to feel bad about the life that you're living. So, and then buy my course, and then you'll be the man and everything will be fine again and you'll be great. And I'm just like, look, do your best to be successful. Absolutely. But, screw what anybody else is saying or doing, because they're telling you about how you're supposed to live your life without living your life. Mm-hmm. What the hell kind of craziness is that? You know what I mean?
You're right.
So
you're absolutely right. And there is, everybody's trying to tell you how to live, but only you can truly know how to live. You can only truly know how to, what you direct, you chart the course of your own ship. And that is something that guys just do not understand. But the one thing that they have to understand is the fact that the more information they have available to them, the more they're willing to learn and work on their weaknesses and work on making themselves better people, the better they're going to be. But they have to be able and willing to learn and accept, their limitations, but also accept that this is their life. They can live it how they want. Very important.
Yeah, indeed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's very, that's an interesting point, accepting limitations. That goes into so many aspects. I'm not even sure where to start with that. Oh man, I don't even know how to open the door to that one. That's a big one to unpack. That might be like a whole topic on its own. But understanding limitations and then how to push them, is an art form, I suppose. I can only speak from the fighting world because I used to, I used to fight for a while. Brazilian jiu-jitsu mostly, but I did some boxing and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And you see at some point where it's like, because I started later in life, it's like where age becomes your limitation. Youth is just youth. It's going to be a time when you can't compete with it, and so you have to understand your limitations. But it's not really a limitation. It's oh gosh, what's the word I'm looking for? You just have to find a way to work around it. So I became like a technical bully. That's what my coach used to call me. He said, "You're a technical bully." So I'm like, okay, this guy is faster than me. He's got better cardio, but I for some reason I got more strength than these younger guys. But I also had more experience, and therefore I could be more technical with him, to where he's depending on speed and whatever else, but I could outmaneuver him just by technique alone. And life is like that in general. You understand your limitations, but what's the workaround? There's always a workaround. Always. It's just you gotta have the patience and the insight to see them.
Right.
And that comes with experience and competence, confidence, all of it comes together. It's a whole topic on its own, man.
Yeah.
You really,
It's true. No, you see a lot of that on this side of the spirit. You see a lot of ex-fighters, a lot of MMA guys, a lot of ex-boxers like Ed Lattimore and those guys, the Tate brothers and whatnot. A lot of those guys, those guys have, they have a lot of great information, because essentially they're talking about fighting is life. And if it is an absolute microcosm of what life is all about. And essentially that, what was your strength? What is your weakness? What is a boxer's weakness? As a tall guy, our weaknesses are, we're not as fast, but what are our strengths? Well, we have endurance, and and it takes a lot more punches to put us down.
You got reach too.
And they got to reach. And, we've got, I think my wingspan's like, I want to say my wingspan's about 6'8". I think it's pretty long, but I got a long ass wingspan. So they're going to have to, I'm going to be swinging. And when I swing, if I hit something, it's going to get hurt. and that's just how it is. I mean, it's just you maximize your strengths, and you minimize your weaknesses as best you can, but you understand your weaknesses. When you understand your weaknesses, then all of a sudden your strengths become that much more dangerous, because it's just like, I know why I'm weak, and now I can actually work around that. It's just once again, it's guys getting information, understanding their limitations, understanding how to mask or limit their limitations in their lives. And I mean, that's the most important thing I can give to them.
Yeah. Speaking of that right there, we're coming up on 1 hour. I had a hella drive. It's going to be 12 o'clock. I got to get up for work like 6 hours. No, I got to get like 5 hours. What's your advice to the average guy right now? Like, if right now you just like the average guy, he comes up and he's like, dude, I need help.
Yeah.
What are you going to tell him?
My advice to any average guy that comes to me and says, I need help, what can I do? Well, I said, the first thing you need to do is help yourself. You need to go and physical, gym, mental, read, emotional, go to see a therapist if you need to, or work through your situation and get your mind right. Once those three things are done, I went to a therapist for 4 years, so I still go. And I think it helps men a lot to get their stuff out. And I know I know some of the people in the manosphere tend to throw down therapy a little bit. Therapy is extremely important, especially if a guy's gone through a tough stuff. But physical, mental, emotional, get those three under control. Once you start going to the gym, the physical is going to take care of itself. The mental is going to take care of itself. And obviously the emotional, it all comes together. It all works together. And be mindful of what you're doing and what you're doing to improve your life, and always focus on that first. That is your number one goal, is to focus on how can I make my life better, so that everybody else who's relying on me will see that we'll feel the seeds and the benefit of that.
Man on his mission.
Yep.
If anybody wanted to find you, how would they find you?
There are many ways to find me. I am on my website. My blog is my main sector. That is a-fathers-journey.com. They can also hit me up on my Twitter, which is at @TW_Beckett. I have a Instagram account, TWBeckettAFJ. And then also I want to plug my new series. It's called Journey's Edge with Tim Beckett. My new episode is coming out on Thursday of this week. It's going to be on my YouTube channel, which is TW Beckett. Come on over and subscribe. It's great stuff.
Nice. We don't have that many people coming on. I guess we got on too late, and it's just like, I apologize, my good man.
Perfectly fine.
Like I said,
I'm honored.
According to plan.
I'm honored to be on, and like I said, anything. I mean, I have a great respect for you, sir, and I just, like I said, keep doing what you're doing, and keep doing what you're doing, and I'll be there to help you out. I appreciate it.
Thanks, man. Awesome. The respect is mutual.
Yes,
so
sir. Thank you.
I thank you, and thank you for coming on. Hopefully we can do this again in the future.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Anytime you want, I'm here, and I really appreciate it, my friend.
Awesome.
All right, buddy.
All right, my man.
Take care.
We're gonna go offline, and peace.
Peace.